Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your best, most true, authentic business voice. Heck, we'll just make it your most authentic voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, make billions of dollars, laugh yourself all the way to the bank. Can't quite guarantee those last two, but we're working on those. But what we can say is that the reason that people keep showing up is because we bring people on that walk the walk. And today is truly no exception, because I get to bring on someone who has the pedigree of service personified, service as it relates to smiles, laughs, leadership. Eddy Smits, welcome so much to the show, sir.
Thank you, John. I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you. I'm very grateful. So you officially, I would say, I tried to do a little bit of research. So I'll use the word officially, would be my first hospital clown that I've interviewed so far. So just for that, I acknowledge you.
Thank you.
Eddy happens to be a leadership guru, a coach, someone who has performed in hospitals for sick patients for over 25 years. Obviously, a very diverse audience. Because we're all about authenticity here, I find someone who is an expert in authentic communication. We'll also get to touch on Eddy's book, Model C, that we'll get to deal with, including everyday attributes that matter, that you can take away to become a better leader in business and your life. And so, Eddy, right off the bat, I'd asked you before, and I'll ask a second time, so I apologize for the repetition. And folks, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So that that the question, because I don't know any hospital clowns, I don't know if that's part of a normal job description or what gets you included with that. Walk me through the process of what got you to that point.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for other countries, so I'll speak for Belgium, of course.
We'll
I know it's going on in a lot of countries, but in my country, it's not like a job. It's part voluntary. We get some paid, but it's like just covering expensive stuff. So you have to be, you have to be doing it out of other things than money, which is good, I think, which is good. And how I became a hospital clown, well, I was a clown. I was clowning like 6 or 7 years, I think, doing kids parties, doing even things in schools. And then at some point, somebody asked me, would you consider it to go and perform for children in hospitals? And I immediately said yes. I didn't expect that the impact was so big, going to be so big, because I really had to redefine clowning. I really had to learn stuff all over again, go deeper into clowning, go deeper in a lot of stuff to become good at this. Because like when you put off your red nose and you go into a kids party, everybody, whoa, the clown is there. Hey, hoo-hoo, it's going to start now. But when you open the door in a hospital, that's a totally different story. You know, the children are afraid, they are in pain. I performed for children who had literally some days to live. So that is a real different story. And but it makes you stronger as a person, as a clown, as everything, actually. So I learned so many things during that period. And that's also why I wrote the book, because there are so much valuable stuff in this that you can just transfer to leadership, to your real life, to your relationships, to everything, actually, because there's so much in it, and you can just use it in different aspects of your life or work. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah,
I love it. Eddy, the clown part in the first place, we'll say, was that a family business? Is that I just decided? How does that go? Because in my own sphere, I can't say I know any other clowns. So Well, I mean, in that sense, in the good way, right? So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. How does it go? Well, I was
yeah.
always, I was always intrigued by work. I loved working for children because
Hmm.
I actually studied to become a teacher, and I
Okay.
have my diploma. I am a teacher,
Right.
but I found out very soon that in the sense of teaching in colleges or schools,
Hmm.
there's not much room for creativity and do your own stuff. It's all doing it their way.
Curriculum.
Yeah, but just fine, by the way.
Hmm.
But that wasn't my thing. So I wanted to do something for children, but that wasn't my thing.
Hmm.
And then I got the opportunity to work in a place where children came on holidays, and I was intrigued by puppeteering actually. So I learned how to become a
Okay.
puppeteer. I made
Hmm.
my own puppets,
Hmm.
made a show around that. But in that time, puppeteering or puppet theater was a little bit on a down spiral.
Right.
You could make a living out of it, but I love
Hmm.
to do it. But okay, you could ask money for it, but never made a living out of that.
Hmm.
And in that period, that was like begin 90s. It's that long ago. There was a clown on Belgian television who had enormous success. His show on television was like one of the best, was even most viewed from everything, from every shows that were there. And that intrigued me, and not because it had so much attraction to children that figure. I
Hmm.
thought, wow,
Hmm.
that's great. But I knew nothing about clowning. I knew nothing about it.
Hmm.
And then I
So
started
how do you learn?
yeah, then I started investigation, and that period, so no internet, so that meant going to the
Hmm.
library, that meant
Oh, wow. Hmm.
searching things,
Hmm.
about clowning, watching old Charlie Chaplin movies, Buster Keaton,
Hmm.
all the
Yep.
stuff, and
Yep.
also reading about where did clowning originated from,
Hmm.
what is it? So I got into that, and I also found some courses around clowning, followed everything what I could, even followed the course how to paint my face, and that's how you get into it. And I remember, and that was like I was doing puppet theater, and there was a theater uh, bureau, like they said, they put clowns in people, but in
Right.
for birthday parties. But that was really a long time ago, and I
Hmm.
had never done that, right? And they said, yeah, they called me and said tomorrow there's a party, and the clown is sick, he can't come. Would you like? Could you do it? And here again, I said, without thinking, yeah, sure, I could. And I thought, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
Especially when I learned, oh, because they wanted a clown who did balloons and who did magic. I
Hmm.
never had a balloon in my hand before, right? I couldn't do magic, and the time was too short to learn these things,
Hmm.
especially pre-internet. I couldn't go on YouTube and look something up.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Right. You have to
That
talk
was
to
that was
people.
like, but I said yes. So
Hmm.
so I figured, okay, let's figure out some games. I got some fun stuff I could do with the
Right.
kids. Right? So I drove to the party. I was
Hmm.
so nervous, almost threw up. It was a very nice family. They let me into their house. I was
Hmm.
I was making my face up and dressing myself in their bathroom. And I literally know I was looking in the mirror and I thought to myself, Eddie, what are you doing here? What
Yeah.
are you doing here? And I did the party. I did my games. It was
Hmm.
fun. Nice children, everything. We had cake, celebration. And okay, I dressed myself, did my normal clothes on, went downstairs, and I said, okay, for the payment, right? And then I never forget this. The man said, yeah, it wasn't what we expected. And I thought, oh my God, oh
Right.
my
Right.
God. But then he followed, but the kids liked it. We thought you were going to do things with balloons and do magic. You didn't do all these things, but the kids liked it and they had fun. So we are very happy.
Hmm.
And that was something like, okay, if I can entertain kids without balloons, without magic,
Hmm.
how good will it be if I'm start to use balloons and I've started to do
Okay.
magic? And that
Right.
was like something I got, okay, now I'm going to go to this professional level. I'm going to learn this stuff
Hmm.
and I'm going to be really good at it. And that's what I did. I learned the stuff. I was into balloons. I had a world-class act with balloons where I
Hmm.
made caricatures from people which no one else did. But that was a start. And that's also why I say to people, just say yes at some times and you'll
Hmm.
figure it out along the way. If you wait until you're ready, you'll never start. You'll never
Right.
start. And that was the proof. And I did that sometimes after it too. I married that way.
What do you mean you married that way?
Yeah, I was no, I was divorced for a couple of years. I had
Yeah.
a
Okay. Okay.
marriage. Okay, that was also, that's another story,
Well,
but
based on a clown deal?
yeah, no, no, not based on a clown deal. It was based on, we were seeing each other 2 weeks.
The saying
And
yes deal.
yeah, the yes deal. We were seeing each other 2 weeks. And she asked, but it was a hypothetical question. It was not a
Right,
direct question. And she asked,
right.
would you see us marry someday?
Mhm,
And I answered, yeah, sure, let's get married next week.
mhm. Oh my God. All right. So quick
Literally like
decision.
that. Literally
Um,
like that. It's decision. It's going for it. It's feeling you're on the right track and
mhm,
saying yes to things. And
mhm.
thing will. We are married now for 6 years in the meantime.
Wow.
Yeah, just and sometimes
Mhm,
it goes south, but what the hell? Then it goes south.
mhm,
But you'll never
mhm.
know before you say yes, or before you start doing things and developing things. And I call it. It's also in my book. I call it the swimming pool technique.
Talk to me about that,
Yeah, it's
please.
jumping without thinking. If you
Okay.
see
Yeah.
how yeah, if you see how grown-ups go to the
Mhm.
swimming pool and they dip their toe in it and they feel,
Yeah.
is it hot and is it cold? Should we
Mhm,
go there doubting? And some just turn back and go lie in the sun.
mhm,
But if you watch children do it, they run to the pool and they just jump in.
mhm.
They don't think, ooh, maybe it's cold. They don't think, ooh, maybe it's deep. They don't think, ooh, there's a lot of people here. They don't think, ooh, everybody's gonna see me. How is my swimming? They just
Yeah.
jump, and it turns out to be right. There's no kid who will jump in the water that can't swim. If I mean, if they really are afraid of water and can't swim, they won't jump in. So that means you have to trust your abilities to
Mm,
do stuff. You won't
mhm.
say yes to stuff where you non-conscious think of, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that." So you will always say yes to stuff that you can do, but if you think too much about it, you
Mhm.
won't do. You get my point?
Yes. Thank you. For you, in the saying yes, did it always come naturally for you? Or is this something that you was not a teachable skill, because I'll ask that next, but is
Mhm.
that like a transferable skill? Or was that just in your DNA? I just say yeah.
That's a very good question, and
Mm.
I'm not sure if I have the answer to that.
Hmm.
I was always very impulsive as a
Okay.
child,
Right.
going from one thing to the other.
Hmm.
Um, I do think you can learn it. That I really do think you have to be conscious of it. That somebody asks you something to learn to say yes. You know,
Right.
you that's something you can learn. Um, but as long as I can remember, I had it a little bit my whole life.
Hmm.
But of course, I expanded it, and I had some good experiences with it.
Hmm.
Also bad. I
Give me an
mean,
example of a bad experience that you
I'll
learned
give you
from.
an example, and I'll also tell you why that is important too. So at some
Yeah.
point, I was doing entertainment and stuff. I did stuff for adults too, and
Right.
they asked me to do something for adults. And so yeah, sure, I would do it. So I put something together, I did it, and it didn't work out,
Right.
right?
Why?
It really didn't work out. But that shifts you to the things you love and can do. Then
Hmm.
you are sure, okay, this is not for me. And then next time somebody asks you to do it, you can say with a clear mind, no, I won't do it. And then you know
Hmm.
why. You
Yep.
know, so you
Yep.
need these things to filter everything out that you or can't or won't
Hmm.
or whatever the reason is. But it's very important that you do that, that you
Mm.
really know for yourself,
Mhm.
okay, this I can do, I will do, and I'm good at it. Because these two things makes you good at it. I mean, you do them so much and you start to do them and you become good at it, because what you do a lot, you become good at it. So yeah, I
Good.
mean, ah,
Eddie, you talk about that in the TED Talk that you delivered, where you were talking about like don't be afraid of failure. And
yeah,
so with that, and I'm guessing that's a classic example. Here's the question, and I'm hoping the answer is a yes. I talk to leaders
yeah,
often, and I always want to know about the part of teachable, transferable skills. That's to me
yeah.
really important, because before we dive into leadership, and I do want to touch on a couple of more things prior, but it's that sense of getting, I don't know, do you believe it's either you have it or you don't?
I think,
Or can you learn to become an effective leader?
Yeah, I think that you can teach everybody everything. That I
Okay,
really think.
great.
Everything is teachable,
Right.
but there's a
Mhm.
but. If you're not open to things, it will take much longer.
Mhm.
That's one. It will never be as good as you take it, and it's somewhere in it and in you. And that's also why I just said you have to say yes to everything, to
Mhm.
explore these things.
Mhm.
You cannot know if you are good at ping pong if you never played ping pong, right?
Right.
You have to do it.
Mhm.
And it's not because you watched millions of ping pong videos that you can play ping pong. And I think that's an evolution in leadership, that's learning in leadership. You have to
Mhm.
just do all these things.
Mhm.
And one of and the things you're good at, that you keep doing that, and things you're not good at, you just chip them away.
Mhm.
And at some point, yeah, then you become a good leader, and you can always improve. There's always room for improvement.
The
So yeah.
teachability. Thank you for that. Now, as you said, you didn't know that you would be an effective hospital clown. You just said as well that it wasn't until you got in that you realized that there was so much more to it. What were, like, if you can give me an example, because I would feel like for me personally, who tends to be thin-skinned in general, that the difficulty of seeing people in pain and or suffering, or when you said sometimes they may have just had days to go,
Yeah.
how did you get yourself through that? And what were some of the experience that you felt like that you learned as a result along the way?
There are a few things.
Hmm.
One of the things that sounds maybe uh, far-fetched for people who are not in the clowning business and stuff
Right.
is the figure of the clown protects you for some points. It's like it's a kind of shield you still have. You know, you're not going in as I'm not going into a hospital room as Eddie. It's
Hmm.
as my name was
Hmm.
Fabus that day as a clown. I'm going in as that clown.
Hmm.
I'm not going in as Eddie. Of course, Eddie is still there somewhere, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
If a child is in pain and stuff, you empathize with it.
Hmm.
But to be able to do the job, you have to put Eddie as much in the sides as possible.
Okay.
The better you put yourself aside, the
Hmm.
better you become the hospital clown. And I always refer, and that's exactly the same in leadership. That's also why
Hmm.
I talk about in the TED Talk. It's not
Yep.
about you,
Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
more you can put yourself aside,
Hmm.
the more you can focus yourself on being that leader, on your people, on everything, what else. And so, but to come back on to your questions, that's one. It's the protection of the figure of the clown,
Hmm.
right? And the second one is actually that refers to yourself is, but then you're out of the hospital room, is to realize what kind of good job you are doing, right? Is to self-empathize for a fact. That's
Okay.
about
Right.
it. That's realizing, okay, I'm doing this for other people. I'm
Hmm.
helping other
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
Again, the same treat as leaders should have. They should be a leader to help others. It's so entangled, that John. It's so
It's
entangled.
funny.
You
Yeah,
cannot believe.
right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Can you tell me of an experience that you had as you were doing it? I mean, heck, you did it for
Yeah.
a long time. Like that it's are there things, like, I'll ask a better question. Let me try it this way.
Yeah.
Number one, are there things that you wish you knew that you could have practiced? Uh and was there something? No, I'll start there. I'll start there. Was it too long of a question? What I'm going to say is that, are
It's a
there
good question.
things that you wish you knew as you went along the way that you could have done differently as
Well,
a hospital clown in the situation?
yeah, of course. That's the short answer.
Right.
But the other thing is sometimes also people ask you, what would you have done different? You
Hmm.
know, knowing what you know now when you start your
Yes.
career. Yeah. My answer to that is that's a stupid question.
Hmm.
Because I can't go back to my early years.
Hmm.
That's one. And
Right.
second, I am who I am now. I
Hmm.
become this. Who I
Hmm.
am now by all this experience and
Hmm.
failures and successes.
Yep.
That's why I became what I am now. So if I'm going back and say to myself, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work. That's also why, if you go on LinkedIn, everybody is giving good advice and stuff, which is
Sure.
all perfect. But if you don't take it and do it, it's all in vain. It's all in vain. That's also when I do a keynote, I always end with, okay, now you have this, do one thing. Please do one thing when you go outside. Just one. And if you have 100 people, if you don't say it, maybe 5 will do it. But if you say it, maybe 30 will do it. So that's already a big gain. And that's what I'm trying to say to young people also. Do things, say yes to things, experience things. If you fall, then you fall. What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Go bankrupt? Is that so bad? I have been not bankrupt. I have been without money often during my life. I had to sell my car, I had to sell my apartment, whatever. It's only stuff. It's just stuff. And you can get stuff back again. It's no problem. I don't know if that answers your question.
It definitely does answer the question. Here's what I wanted to follow up with. Thank you, by the way. Have you always been this passionate? And I say that as a high compliment. Like, what makes you this passionate?
I have always searched for passion, and I must say I have lost it also at some point.
Okay.
In 15, I gave up everything and I lost my passion, right? I figured it out again, and now I'm back on track, but it took me some years to get back on track. But I have been always somebody who, when I did something, I gave everything with my whole heart, whether good or bad, doesn't matter. I'm short, I can't tell it in feet, but I'm not that big. And in my youth, I played basketball, right? And everybody, you're too small to play basketball. Go play soccer, blah, blah, blah. But I still played basketball because I loved the game so much, right? And it wasn't about winning for me. It was because I loved the game, the love of the game, that I still had I still could contribute to the game. But it's something I always have. And I feel also that it is the strongest thing that can put you over failures, that can put you over when you have hard time, challenges. It's that passion that drives you. You get just a little nudge, an extra nudge gives you, and you need that, especially as an entrepreneur or whatever. You need that extra nudge. And it's not about working harder or working longer or whatever. It's stronger than doing what you love. Passion is just one level higher, but you have to do what you love, figure out these things and keep doing what you love. And at some point you figure out your passion, and from there, then you're unstoppable.
You've talked about figuring out things several times. I want to touch on one thing because I find that so encouraging when you just said, well, I lost my passion, and you said 15. Did I hear you correctly? I just want to make sure I heard
2015,
Yeah. In your mind, what happened and how did you get it back? What'd you do?
Sorry? Yeah. So at some point, everything always comes together. So that point, I divorced. I've had it. I was working also too much, 7/7, did a lot of gigs.
Eddie, forgive me. What age were you again?
Now.
Oh, do you know what I thought? You forgive my dumbness. I think you said 15. And I'm like, wait a minute.
2015. It was 2015. I'm 15.
Thank you. I'm like thinking 15 years old.
No. That's almost 10 years ago now.
Now I got you.
No problem.
I definitely want to hear this.
Yeah. So I thought, I had done it all. That's what I thought, right?
Sure.
Small kids, big kids, small audience, big audience. Performed with Belgian known people, all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I felt back then very strongly that I was going to the next level in my artistic things. But I felt that people didn't understand what I was doing. And that frustrated me enormously. And that meant I had to start doing things for the money. I could do these things, but I was fed up with these things. And people came up to me, oh, you're so good, blah, blah, blah. And the only thing that interested me at that period was, oh, I want to get out of here. You know, it was that bad.
Okay.
It was that
Right.
bad. So I decided for myself, okay, I have to end this myself. I'm not going to hang on here so that after a while people will say, oh, he's not as good as he used to be, blah, blah, blah. So
Yep.
I cut everything.
Wow.
But there I was. I followed my passion since I was young. And now it was like 30 years later, there I was.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to do, where to go to. I hadn't been working for a boss since 30 years. That was also not a good plan, I thought.
Right.
So I had to reinvent myself, had to reinvent everything. So the first year I didn't do much. Actually, I didn't do anything. But then, of course, money becomes an issue. And through a friend of mine, I accepted a job in HR. Did that for 8 months. And again, after the 8 months, I said, sorry, I'm fed up with it. Bye-bye.
Yep.
But you're doing this so good, blah, blah. Again, the same, but said, I don't like it. I don't love it. Okay, if you think I'm good at it, that's really sweet of you. And thank you for that. But I'm not hanging on to this. And it kept on going like that. And then by accident, I came in Nigeria through a friend of mine who is married whose wife is Nigerian. And she said to me, what are you doing the next few weeks? I said, nothing. Oh, I said, come to my country. I said, why? Yeah, the weather is good. I said, I'm coming. So I went to Nigeria, and it's there that I actually met my wife now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was a little bit the turning point, because then I had, again, a future, right? I wanted to make a future with my wife, but it was the Nigerian-Belgian thing that was difficult. So I started to coach online. I thought that was it. Again, read books, followed courses, did the same thing that God did as a clown.
Figured it out.
Yeah, I figured out. I did it, but there was this thing missing. And that was nagging at me, and I didn't know what it was, and I know now what it was. Coaching wasn't my passion. I loved to do it. I was good in it, but it wasn't my passion. I needed to perform. I needed to be before people. That was making people happy. That was what I want to do. And the TED Talk put me again in what I felt before, during, and after the TED Talk was the thing that I felt when I was on stage, when I was performing. This, oh my God, I was born to do this feeling, right?
Yep.
Whether I'm good or not, doesn't matter. But I felt, okay, I have to do this again. And that was the rise again from myself until now, being on stage again, working with people live, not online, really feeling them, touching them, etc. And until now, I'm doing that, and I'm really, and again, I'm now on to some things that I would have never put together if I didn't have that low, if I didn't have that experience from being low. I worked a little bit as a driver, because I had to have some money.
Sure.
Yeah. But by doing jobs like that, your not your passion, it drives you again to where you need to be, because then you say, this is not what I want to do, right? I hate this. I mean, it's good to make a living, and I'm happy that I'm very friendly to the ones who are in my car, and I'm thankful that I can do this job. It gets paid. I get paid for it, but it's not what I want to do. So you need these things to pump yourself up, right, and to go back into the direction that you need to go. And that was exactly what that job did.
Wow.
Also, it pushed me back in the right direction. And then I had, at some point, I met with somebody who I was working with for 30 years, but not professionally, just doing things. And we put together this fabulous leadership training that could only exist because of all things that I did in the past.
By saying yes.
By saying yes
and figuring stuff out. Right. And it's like, that's why I feel like it's really important to convey that information for me, selfishly, because it's like, it gives you hope. when you hear this, right? Because I know
Yes.
you're not alone. I know I'm not alone in that sense. So you create something really unique and really different. Folks, I will have the link. Eddy is really good in terms of having information readily available, but I'll make certain that the link to the TED Talk is available. There's a part of it, it's in the beginning. So it really is probably the first 2 minutes. It might be 2 solid minutes where you don't speak. You are just in, no, I'm sorry, take out just. You are in full on performance mode. And so you're not speaking,
Yes.
and you're wearing, I think, ears and or a couple of things, including the nose, and you're
Yes.
pushing past people and you're standing on chairs and all that sort of thing. Did you, when you do that and people don't know it's coming,
Yeah.
do you get that sense of discomfort? How do you, like when people are seated there expecting something and you deliver something different? What's it like in the beginning, and how do you win them over?
So there's always, I mean, I've performed millions of times. There's
Right.
always this stage fright that's always there. But
Mhm.
it stops the moment I come in. It stops. It's gone.
Great.
And then as a clown, but I think also as an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to push yourself in an awkward position.
Mhm.
That's what a clown does, because
Mhm.
he knows
Mhm.
that in an awkward position, he is very strong.
Mhm.
If I transfer that, if you fail, you
Mhm.
become good. It's the same.
Right.
It's exactly the same. And then for me, it's the love of the audience, right? You
Mhm.
do something and you look around, oh, they are reacting good at this. So you go forward with it. If
Mhm.
they don't react in a good way, okay, you change your modus and you change your stuff. You'll see that in the talk. At some point, I address myself to a lady that's there, and you can now you won't see it if I won't point it out. But if
Mhm.
I point it out to you, at some point you see myself doing almost literally, oh no, like this. So I feel okay. This is not. There's no click here. Forget it. Up the next one, right?
Eddy, I'm so glad you said that. Now, did I pick off that individual? No. However, what I would say is I would guess, thank you, because I would guess that your skills, like most people's that are unique, are acquired skills. I don't mean to learn to do them. I mean from the point of the person receiving it, right? So not everybody's going to buy in. So I didn't catch the part where you're like, no, no, no. I love that. How do you adapt at that point to make certain that it does that like say not negative energy, I don't want to say it like that, but that sense of like so how do you so it doesn't derail you?
It's very simple. It's
Oh,
never it's never personal.
oh,
I also compare it to the duck. If you pour water over a duck, it just drips off.
mhm,
It doesn't
mhm,
go in.
mhm,
It's not personal. If you wear a red suit,
mhm,
then 50%, 30% will like it,
mhm,
20% will say and 50% won't like it.
mhm,
But you go to the 30% who likes it, and the other ones, yeah, they'll go to somebody who has a green suit or a black suit.
mhm.
So you just find your people that you can, because I
Hmm.
said that before, if people are not open to you, they won't
Right.
learn it, they won't feel anything, and you are
Mhm,
not with these people.
mhm.
And that's, for example, that's a mistake what a lot of clowns, beginning clowns in hospitals do. They want to
Sure.
force things on children, force things. They want to show a magic trick, show
Mhm.
balloon, show juggling. They want to force things on kids. And
Yep.
that's not how it works, especially now with six kids. But that's also not how it works in the world. That's also not how, if I want to sell you a car, right?
Yep.
And I say, oh, John, I've got a Porsche 911 here. This
Mhm,
is a great car, man. It goes from zero to blah, blah,
mhm,
blah. But you are looking for a family car, John.
mhm,
You don't need that
mhm,
Porsche. The Porsche is a great car, but you don't need it. You're looking for a family car where you can put in seven people. That's what you're looking for. And if
mhm,
I don't see that in you, if I'm, it's no use, right? Please let John go. I'll find another one for the Porsche.
mhm,
But John wants a family car. John is not
mhm,
my client. John is not for me. So I tell John in all honesty, oh John, sorry, I can't help you today, my man. I get I feel what you need. I
mhm,
feel that, but I can't help you. But maybe let me take oh, I have a colleague, John. He has, and I know he has some really good SUVs that are standing there. Go tell him and say to him, I said hi. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it.
I think it's brilliant. And you just said some of all of the explanation, which was perfect. When you just said, but it's not personal, I find so powerful, because it would be so easy. I speak, I present, and I'm speaking for me. I'm not in, you know what I mean? Just that it's so easy to make it personal.
Exactly.
So the fact that you know that, and that you were able to be like, no, it isn't. I think the suit example is brilliant, because you don't think about that stuff. I sometimes in my mind on a weaker moment, I'm like, well, no, they just don't like me. So I love the fact that you remind us that it is a case of, no, it's not personal. Find your people, your words, which I love to death. I want to touch on, like, there's 3 leadership traits that you talk about in the talk. You've also talked about like a lengthier list in terms of the ways that you help. But I want to focus on, like, I loved the power of the simplicity, where you talk about that sense, even though there's more than 30 leadership skills, you lead with, as you started with, it's not you. It's not you. And so what would you say are the 3 that we should be leaning into in terms of paying better attention, whether it's in business and or in life, to get the results that we need?
I think that talk, I didn't even know what the 3 were, but doesn't matter. I think that really the 3 most important things where you can have everything on it, that's the 3. It's not about you. For me, it's the biggest one. It's putting away your ego. It's being not serious. It's more laughter, all these things. So it's not about you. The second one, and that's also a big one, is communication.
There you go.
I'm filling it with authentic communication, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter what your way of communication is, but it has to be authentic.
Okay.
It has to be authentic. It has to be you. That has to be you, your communication. And communication is so important. You have to make sure they get you. So by asking questions, by knowing which people you have in front, you communicate in a totally different way to accountants than to car salesmen. It's totally different communication. But you have to know that. You know, as a clown too, you communicate different with a 2-year-old and a 10-year-old. Sure. It's a totally different communication. And then people see it, you say, oh, yeah, that's true. But in real life, they communicate with everybody the same thing. They just say the same message, the same words, and they expect that everything is going to understand it. And that is not true. So you have to be aware as a leader, are people really understanding what I am saying to them? And you have to double check, and you have to check, because everybody will stand, yeah, we get it. But they don't. But it's your fault, because you have to check, do they understand me? And that's this ping pong game the whole time, where the clown does constantly. He ping pong, he throws something, oh, they're not throwing it back. Oh, so I have to throw softer, or I have to throw stronger, you know?
Right.
It's what you throw, how you throw it, that's how it comes back. And if it doesn't come back, they don't understand it. So that's the second one, in short.
Yeah, I love it.
The third one, and I learned that also the hard way. It's from the moment where I was depressed and had my burnout, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Is self-care.
Oh, okay.
Let me give you an example. What do you do if you send your kid to a sport camp, you know, where they do sports all day, right? You send it it goes, the first day it comes back, it's bruised, its clothes are torn, it has pain everywhere, right? It has bloody nose. What do you do with this kid? Are you going to slap it more? No, you're going to give it some warm honey. Yeah, you're going to give it some warm honey. You're going to pamper it. But what do we do with ourselves? We work 7 to 7. We are stressed. What do? We say, damn it, I'm not doing my best here, right?
Yeah.
You're doing with yourself, you're doing just the opposite. Just the opposite. So with this child, you would pamper, but yourself, you would give some more. Let me hit myself some more.
I was going to say, I love this.
Yeah. That's what I think these three are the most, of course, there are a lot of,
Mhm.
and everybody, everybody is talking leadership about skills. You have to have that skill and you have to have that skill and that skill.
Mhm.
But it's skills are important, right? But it's the authenticity. It's who I am and
Mhm.
who am I going to lead? How am I going to lead? You know, it's like a soccer or a football club. Not
Right.
every coach is the right coach for the right team, and vice versa, right?
Mhm.
You can be a good coach for every team, but then you have to be a really good coach. But then you have to adapt constantly. But you are the best coach when you can be yourself, and the people around you get you, right? Then you're in your place.
How are you able to, I find this the part you said it earlier, and I found that fascinating, where you talk about the sense of you've got to leave when you're in performance mode,
Yeah.
whether it was as a hospital clown or whatever, when you're in performance mode, so to speak, that
Yeah.
you have to leave most of you, Eddie, well, just for lack
Yeah.
of a better way of putting it, or I'll just speak for me, that I have to, I have to leave most of John behind,
Yeah.
right? And you
Yeah.
didn't say all of John. I get that, right? But when you're needing to be adaptable in terms of, say, a leadership, a business situation, how are you able to, or how would you suggest people be able to bring themselves back in, so to speak? Um, and I don't know if I'm phrasing that well,
No, you're phrasing it very right.
right? But how do you do that,
Because it's one entity. And the thing you become, you have yourself and you have the leader,
right?
but it's one entity.
Hmm.
And this leader you become by being authentic and by having the skills and all.
Hmm.
And there's you in the beginning you pour a lot of yourself in the leadership,
Hmm.
and the more you get advanced in that, you're pulling yourself out a little bit.
Okay.
Because then, of course, a leader sometimes has to make decisions that Eddie, won't make. If I have to, cut somebody loose to fire
Oh, I wouldn't
somebody,
make
right?
any of them. Right. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Right.
as
Hmm.
as Eddie, I would say I'm a very likable guy. I would say, oh
Yup.
no, stay in my company. I don't want to. Oh, please, please, I don't want to put you out of money. I don't. But
Uh-huh.
as a leader,
Hmm.
I know I have to do that because
Hmm.
if I keep you on, my company is going to lose money, blah, blah, blah. Same
Hmm.
as that clown. Uh, if I am too empathetic for a child who has 3 days to live,
Hmm.
I cannot do my job. I cannot make that child smile.
Hmm.
And that sounds very harsh and hard, but the more you tell the truth, I always say telling the truth to somebody is the most beautiful thing, the most loving thing you can do,
Hmm.
right? But the moment you stop doing that, you're putting too self from yourself in it, and then you're not the leader anymore. So it is a fine line, but there is a
Yeah.
balance. There is constant this balance to know, okay, now I have to pour a little bit more of myself, and now I have to pull myself out to protect myself
Hmm.
and to give everything to the business or whatever I do. And that's the first sentence, right? It's not about you. It's about
Yup.
your business, your product,
Yup.
your people, etc. If you have one employee who f's it up for everybody, you gotta push him out, whatever it takes, because otherwise these other guys who are doing their job can't do their job anymore. See, that's where the leader stands up and where Eddie goes away. At the other part, Eddie can come back in, right, at a party from your company. Then it's Eddie who comes to drink some beer with you, right? Then it's not the leader anymore. Then it's Eddie who
Belgian,
talks
I'm
about it.
assuming. Belgian beer.
Well, of course. What else is there?
Of course. Of
No,
course.
but then it's Eddie comes in. Then he talks about his dog and his children and his
Right.
holiday.
Right.
So, yeah,
Hmm. It gives me hope when I hear it. And I'll go back to when we were talking about your passion. Uh, I'm always grateful when I hear when someone refines their fuel, because I think it's pretty unrealistic when when you think that somebody has to, passionate people have to keep their passion forever. And you have it so you can never lose it. And if you lose it, there's no hope for you. And I feel as if one of the most hopeful things that you said in terms of the saying yes and figuring things out and knowing that you have to have, even if you're putting yourself further back, you still have to be in the equation. There's a gutsiness to you that I find really, really impressive. You have to be at least a little bit gutsy to be able to say yes as
Or
free,
crazy.
right?
Or crazy.
But listen, it works either
Just the
way.
words. Yeah.
Eddy Smits, what would you suggest before we break for this pass, which would be, what would you suggest in terms of individuals who are feeling stuck, really feeling stuck, and whether it is based upon uncertain times or their age or whatever? It's a very broad-based general question, but I typically ask two. One of them is this, which is what would be a step to get yourself a little unstuck, so to speak? That's a first.
Actually, it's simple.
Oh, great.
It's really simple.
Mm,
Start again by doing the things you love.
mm, mhm,
Whatever that may be. If it's going to the pool, go to the pool. If it's
mhm,
going to sports, do sports. If it's playing chess, do chess.
mhm,
Start with doing these things again, because I'm a 99.99% sure that
mhm,
you have been neglecting these things, and by neglecting these things, you're going into a downward spiral, right?
mm,
Somebody who is working hard and keeps on working hard and starts to work harder because he feels I need to work harder,
mhm,
is going to leave these things, is going to forget these things. He's not going to the gym anymore. He's not playing with his children anymore.
mhm,
He's not going for a walk on Sunday, etc. So these
mhm,
things tend to, it drops that. And it shouldn't,
mhm,
because these things give you oxygen, energy. So if you feel down, which is very normal, it happens to everyone,
mhm.
start doing these things again. That's one. And the other thing is, go see people again who not empathize with you, who are real friends, who are behind you. Go
Mhm.
see them again. But I'm again 90.99% sure that you have been neglecting them.
That's a high number, and I would bet you're right. Last question for the moment, which is this. You've talked about authenticity a lot. How do you know when someone is being authentic?
You mean with other people?
Yeah, yeah. I know how you are, but I was going to say, when do you see
Yeah.
it? What's it feel like? Like,
That's a very hard one to explain. For
mhm,
me, it's a sort of gut feeling, which I over the years I had the experience to meet people. I take also in the body language.
yeah,
Um, keep talking to them, keep
mhm,
interacting with them, and talk less yourself. Let them talk, and at some point you'll feel there's something off or there's something whatever. But that's the thing. Yeah, I can't put my finger on that. Look at this, look at that. That's like the whole of the person. That's,
mhm.
for me, that's belly feeling. That comes from,
I got you.
I know it immediately, but that's something I don't know how to explain to people actually.
I love that you know it, though. That to me matters. I think it really matters. Eddy Smits, I know that we're going to have your website up here as well, too, with appropriate links. What is the best way that people can find you? What is your preferred way to get to you?
Yeah, my website,
It's a
just go to
good
there.
one,
You have the
folks.
contact,
Mhm.
or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And I would say not only connect, just do me a message or
Mhm.
whatever. If I can help you or give you
Mhm.
whatever, yeah, just be in touch with me and
Mhm.
see if there's something I can do for you, or you can do
Mhm.
something for me, whatever. Let's figure it out from there. So
Let's
yeah.
figure it out from there. Or like the car person, you'll recommend a better car person, which
Yeah, but it's
Eddie,
true. It's true. I
right?
mean, it's true.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Eddy Smits, thanks so much for showing up for me today. I really acknowledge you and your authenticity. I could tell you I couldn't answer my own question either, but I know when I see it and I feel it with you. So thank you so much for being on the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
100%. Hey, folks, you've just heard another episode of Your Message Received. Keep liking, watching, listening, following, sharing, all that sort of stuff. And we will keep driving authentic content through your front door. John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Have a great rest of the day, folks. And we will see you soon. Bye.
And now, making its way across the finish line, Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.